Hey guys, I've probably tried making this video like 5 times, but I find I talk way too much. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what I feel are the best ways to gem, enchant, pretty much everything to do on a Mistweaver Monk. I'm not gonna go into detail as to why you should do some of these things, but if you have a question, I would gladly like to answer in the comments below. I will explain certain things, but I don't want this to be like a 20-minute long video. I just want to make a quick, brief tutorial that people can just look to quickly and see what I think is the best way to, you know, gem, gear, and do everything else for your Mistweaver Monk. For stat priority, I would suggest Spirit between 11 to 13k. There's 2 haste caps. For the first haste cap, you would need 3,145. I recommend all monks get this haste cap. This is in Serpent Stance, which gives you 50% haste from your items. If you don't have the 5% haste raid buff, you need 4,719. The second haste cap is 9,211. This gives you a 3rd tick of Renewing Mist, whereas the first cap gives you 2 ticks. So the more haste you have, the more chance, or the more ticks you get of Renewing Mist, so it's really good. But the only way you're going to get to 9,200 is if you have Heroic Best in Slot gear like me and you got a lot of haste on your gear. So don't go into it unless you have the gear. If not, nothing's wrong with just going for 3,100, you know, the 3,145. After that, it's crit, and then haste, and then lastly, mastery. For glyphs, I recommend 2 as being necessary. That's Glyph of Manatee and Glyph of Renewing Mist. The other 3rd spot I would say is situational. I would either go for Life Cocoon, Spinning Crane Kick, Surging Mist, Zen Meditation, or Glyph of Retreat. All of which I believe are situational, and I change them out pretty much every other fight. For your lesser glyph, there's only 2 I'd recommend, but they're not necessary. That's Glyph of Spirit Roll and Glyph of Water Roll. For talents, I recommend going for whatever you feel is best in your first tier. I currently have Momentum. I usually stick with Celerity though. For your tier 2, I find Chi Wave and Zen Sphere are most beneficial because I can cast while on the move, whereas with Chi Burst, I cannot. For your 3rd tier, I almost always go Chi Brew. I've never found myself going Ascension or Power Strikes. Chi Brew is just really good if I can't cast a spell to build Chi and I need to do a quick heal. And your tier 4, situational. I honestly change them a lot. It's either going to be Ring of Peace when there's ads that can cast, or Leg Sweep to stun them. Can't really stun if there's no ads, so it's negligible as a tier, honestly. For your 5th tier, I usually go with Diffuse Magic or Healing Elixirs, Dampen Harm. You could technically use it on Heroic Jikun, but Healing Elixirs is better in my opinion, especially when quills are going out. Lastly is your last tier talent. There's Chi Torpedo, your Zhuen talent, or Rushing Jade Wind. If you're not using Spinning Crane, Rushing Jade Wind is completely useless. I usually go for doing damage because I fist weave a lot, so Invoke Zhuen is really good, and so is Chi Torpedo if you're gonna do a fight where the cat's gonna jump all over the place like Megara or something. Chi Torpedo or Rushing Jade Wind is probably the best. Now, I was gonna go over a lot of healing spells and how they work, but if you've played a monk, you probably already know all your spells, so I'm just gonna go over a few things that I like to do as a player, and I'm gonna combine my offensive and explain how I either Mistweave or Fistweave, so it'll be really quick. Always keep Renewing Mist up. It's kind of like Riptide. You want to keep it going on both tanks, or just the tank if there's only one. If you find that there's no AoE damage going out and you're maxed out on Chi, and you're in melee range, which you should almost always be since melee aren't affected by a lot of ranged spells such as Megara or Lei Shen, I would suggest fist weaving to dump that chi, because when you dump chi, you build mana tea, and mana tea means you're not which means you can heal more, which makes you a good healer, yay! So you wanna keep renewing mist up. Only use uplift if you are either the raid is taking a lot of damage or you can't fist weave, just cast it anyway, or if the tank is taking a lot of damage, use enveloping mist instead. So, you know, if you're in melee range, I suggest using offensive spells. So you want to use Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick if you're fist weaving, and always keep those buffs on yourself up, because if you're doing more damage, it means you're healing for more. So make sure you're doing that. Don't forget about your OP personals. There's Diffuse Magic, Fortifying Brew, and Zen Meditation. So make sure you're using those. There's other spells people forget about. Sprues like Nimble Brew, which removes roots, stun, fear, and horror. Those can be really good because you can use them in boss fights, and it's not on a very long cooldown, 2 minutes, not that bad. Things like Disable. It slows the target by 50%, and if you stay within 10 yards, it refreshes it. I use it on Tortos, and I pretty much keep all the turtles stunned until they die. Grapple Weapon's good for fights like Horadon. I would steal the Warlord's weapon, and it increases my healing for the next, I think it was 5 or 6 seconds, I think. Other spells that are pretty cool. Don't forget you can interrupt. So you have Spear Hand Strike, Roll, and obviously a Touch of Death, which instantly will kill a target. For gems and enchants, we'll keep it real simple. For your meta, if you can't get the legendary healing one, you're gonna want Revitalizing. If you're not having mana problems, you want Hybrid Intellect on everything but red. For Prismatic and red, you want Brilliant Primordial Rubies. For your yellow, you're gonna want Potent. If you're trying to get to a haste cap, you can use Reckless. I use Reckless to get to my 9211 cap. And for blue, you can use Purified. If you're having mana issues, for your Prismatic, I still recommend Intellect, as well as your red. If you're having big mana problems, go ahead and put Purified into your red, and then Intellect into your Prismatic. For your yellow, I would recommend putting Misty Wild Jade, which is Spirit Crit, and then for your blue, put Sparkling River's Heart. For your enchants, haste on everything. The only one you'll probably question me about is Boot Enchant, because enchants are self-explanatory, go for all the intellect ones, but for your boots, I suggest going for haste over movement speed, Pandarian Step, because you already have so much movement speed increase from talents and, you know, Transcendence and other things. There's no point to go further into it, in my opinion. I'm gonna put some links to some macros. I only suggest, well, they're not hard macros, you could probably Google it, but I suggest healing macros, the mouse over macros, and I only suggest it for Chi Wave, Renewing Mist, Surging Mist, Enveloping Mist, and Soothing Mist. Now, you really only have like 4 or 5 healing spells you target with that. Oh, and Life Cocoon. Because everything else is like Uplift or, you know, your fist weaving, so they're not bad. And also you'll want to interrupt macro for a set focus, just in case you have to interrupt like I have on certain fights, such as Heroic Council. Lastly, we'll go over add-ons. I suggest Weak Auras, Aura 3, Voodoo, Bigwigs, and Decursive. Obviously, Aura 3 is something that tracks raid cooldowns. You can see anyone using a cooldown, you can see if the tanks have used one, so that way you'll know, and I don't know, it makes me feel like I know what to expect if they're going to be taking big damage or if I have a cooldown available for them. Voodoo, it's just like Grid, you know, you can track healing dots. It's really good to track like Renewing Mist. Now if you have questions on how to do that, because it's kind of hard to find it, just go ahead and leave me a message or comment and I can tell you how to do that on Voodoo. Big wigs, obviously it's like DBM but 10 times better. And decursive is really good, as it puts a little frame where you can pretty much mouse over and then click and it will cast detox on the target. So you don't have to target people, you just go over the little square with their color and name and it gets rid of it. Now the last thing I want to talk about was weak auras. Now I use a weak aura to track my renewing mist. I also use it to show a chi bar and my cooldowns and buffs. Now, as you'll see here, I'm gonna hit this thing. If I don't accidentally do that. Now, that's Serpent's Eel, and then that's Tiger Palm. So it has a countdown on it. It's showing whenever I use it. Then I have a Renewing Mist one. That's up here. You see that there. It shows it's on one target. It shows a duration. It's pretty amazing. And then I have one for Diffuse. And then one for Fortifying Brew. So all of these are really good to use. They let you know. See, look, I let Tiger Palm fell off. Now, I fist weave a lot on Heroic Lei Shen. So I really like having this, especially when I'm doing Static Shock. I can pop, you know, Diffuse Magic or Fortifying Brew, and I can see when it's going to hit or if it's going to run out early, just in case I get Helm of Command or something. But Renewing Mist Tracker is really nice. As you see on here, Voodoo, that little thing in the corner, that's my Renewing Mist. Really good for Heroic Twins if you need to see if the tank has a debuff, because you don't want to uplift, because the uplift will heal. Oh my god. And if it heals the tank, you're going to get that debuff and you're going to go splat. So, and up here you can see the chi bar tracker. So, this chi bar tracker is actually from Affinity, or Affinichi, and this renewing thing, I don't want to take credit for it. So, these things I've like tampered with on my own. I find red is easiest to see on there, Arial black too. But, you know, I will link what I use from him. And this whole UI is actually from his custom Elv UI also that he used to use. I don't think he uses it anymore. But anyway, I will link the Renewing Mist Tracker, Chi Bar, and the cooldown thingy. If you have any other questions that I didn't answer, please tell me, because I have no clue if I did or did not cover it. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried not to make it long-winded. If you guys like this, let me know. I don't know, maybe I could do one for other classes too that I like to play a lot, or Brewmaster or something else. So I will catch you guys later.